Howdy folks, welcome to Adrenaline Fueled Firearms. I'm an AR-500 steel target for Halloween. Does that work? Sure, I want to get shot at. So let's do something a little bit different. I'm going to do my Ranger Rick cosplay for Halloween. I know. Looks a little bit goofy, but it's like anything else. If you're going to do something, like try to survive some kind of goofball apocalypse or, you know, pretty much anything else in the universe, you probably want to prepare for it. So today's video is going to be yet another purpose video. I'm going to do a little discussion on equipment, what, why, all that happiness. So to start off, I want to thank everybody who stuck with me through the COVID. I think that's about 28 of you, 29 of you. Well, still, you know, I mean, it's got to start somewhere, and I don't know, maybe my opinions are unpopular? Whatever. I'm a fucking genius like everybody else on the internet. So we're going to go ahead with this video. So first I want to talk a little bit about what you're doing, what you feel you're preparing for, what you're buying all your gear for, what apocalypse or change of lifestyle event it is that you feel that it is necessary to spend whatever amount of money it is you allocated to your hobby, future, whatever you want to call it. I'm not going to judge anybody. That's what everybody on that side of the video is for, you know, so you can judge people down in the little comments like a bunch of Karens. Oh, speaking of which, as usual, you know, constructive criticism welcome. All the others, out of there. Because, well, opinions are kind of like buttholes. Everybody's got one, and nobody really wants to hear yours unless they pull your finger. Oh wait, that's not how that saying goes. Anyway, so what we're going to talk a little bit about is preparing, knowledge of, and preparing appropriately. There are quite a bit of videos out there by a lot of different publishers, people who do the videos, creators, content creators, influencers, schmucks like me. But there are a lot of opinions on how, why, what you need to do, what kind of physical condition you need to be in, who you need to buy your crap from, what kind of crap you actually need, etc., etc. But what it really boils down to is you need to understand yourself and what it is that you feel you need to prepare for. Back in my day, they pushed a little bit of Sun Tzu in the military, and there are 50 billion translations of what he said, but I think the simplest to remember and just boil it down to the very most basic key elements on it is know your enemy and know yourself, and you will know victory. Relatively simple. There's some longer translations, but it boils down to those facts. It isn't about being perfect. It isn't about picking out the dumbest schmucks. It's about appropriate dynamics of knowledge. If you understand yourself and any handicaps you may have, your training, where you need training and where you need to improve, and then improve, and you understand what you're preparing for, what the possible dynamics and what the repercussions of what you're preparing for are, then you'll be better prepared to more effectively spend your time and money to prepare for said apocalypse or condition. I saw a really good article that a friend of mine shifted to me that wasn't a first-time run. It was a reprint on an article. I believe it was I think it was from Firearms Blog. The author mentioned different things as far as probabilities. His job, full-time job, besides writing articles for online and offline publication, was actually predicting probabilities of how things will happen or what things have a probability of occurrence. There's actually mathematics behind it. I'm dyslexic and a knuckle dragger, so the mathematics kind of went this way. But it was a good discussion and a good article. And he talked a little bit about your preparation and embracing your preparation a little bit, I guess you'd say. So after reading that, I kind of followed his advice on preparation for the what. So stick with me here. He discussed preparing for the zombie apocalypse, because preparing for the zombie apocalypse pretty much covers a majority of the other possibilities of, you know, society falling apart, groups of things or people looking for you to eat you, take your stuff, whatever. Collapse of government services and availability of trash service, water service, electrical, law enforcement, everything. It basically represents a collapse of society, which covers, like, I don't know, dirty bombs, government collapse. There are a lot of different things that will fall into a segment of that. So after watching that, I felt a little bit less stupid about worrying about zombies. Well, it is near Halloween, so, and any of you that have driven around in towns where there are a lot of pedestrians, you'll encounter something that I like to call zombies. And they're people that wander around like this. And they tend to act like zombies because there's nothing going on, they're brain dead, and sometimes they're even dragging a leg. So, we already have tech zombies, so I mean, we're halfway there. So, what you do is you sit down, make out a list, you know, think about where you are with your physical fitness and training and what you're going to be able to do to survive in response to whatever this issue may be. Then you need to sit down and seriously consider what are going to be the drawbacks or conditions of this situation. List these both out and then sit down and do a lot of research online and look at what gear, what equipment, what training, what you need to do in order to fulfill your goals of, you know, surviving or moving past this condition. And I don't really eliminate the possibility of someone breaking into your home while you're home as an apocalypse, because, well, given the current legal environment, you know, it could wreck you financially even if you survive, which is completely asinine, but we're not going to get into that today. So I want to talk a little bit about kind of some of my gear, some of the philosophy, theory, thought process behind it, maybe jog your mind a little bit, give you an idea of kind of what you may want to look at, what you may want to prepare for, and how you may want to equip yourself for that. So we'll just start at the top. I went with a basic bump helmet. I mean, it's literally, as I told one of my friends before I was going to loan it to him for something, I'm not even really convinced it would take a bump off a bicycle, you know, to the sidewalk. I literally have bicycle helmets that are a little bit sturdier than this, but what this does is it gives you a basic platform to attach objects to, and it will protect your cranium to a limited extent. It's damn sure not going to stop a bullet. Hopefully slips, falls, bumping against crap. It's called a bump helmet. Hopefully it does that. If you're some, I don't want to call it shutterbug anymore because digital media doesn't really have shutters the way old video used to, but you guys will see down in my channel some adrenaline-fueled firearms lifestyle folder that's got some pictures from one of my recent trips. Pictures. See? I'm old. Bear with me, folks. Some video with my GoPro from McDonald Falls in Glacier Park. And I would have rather had this than do it with my hand because one of the ones I put up, I about lost the friggin' camera. So your bump helmet's going to give you just a basic mounting surface, if nothing else, for optics, gear, gadgets, flashlights, your Green Beret Greg cosplay, whatever it is you're doing, you want to start there. One of the things you really need to consider is survivability. I mean, if the whole point is to attempt to prepare to survive something, you need to prepare to survive it. With lack of good medical care available, you need to rely on some kind of base safety gear for whatever's going on with your body, with your life. Whatever it is, do it. Med packs, head protection, antibiotics. If you honestly feel that there's going to be a breakdown of overall medical society services, you need to be prepared with safety gear, at least some kind of minimal crap to keep you from getting injured easily, because let's face it, folks, any cut, any scrape, any serious injury above and beyond bleeding, you've got problems with infections. So you need to be aware of that. You need to minimize your probabilities of becoming injured in case of that, so that you minimize your probabilities of getting an infection and requiring medical care. Because if it's not available, you're hosed. So I picked up my basic little Bull Jive bump helmet on Amazon for under 50 bucks. I don't necessarily push Amazon because, well, nobody's paying me anything, so I'm not pushing anybody, but it is a resource. I get stuff from all over the net. A lot of the rest of my rig comes from Classic Firearms, Optics Planet, Bear Creek Arts. I mean, just bleh, everybody. When you sit down to do your research, look at who has what, when, and what it's going to cost. And if you've had a bad experience with a company, don't use them and go somewhere else. Cheaper than dirt. Cheaper than dirt. Excuse me. Sorry. It's the end of allergy season. I'm a little gummed up. So we'll move down a little bit more. I did Classic Firearms on my plate carrier. It's the Shepherd plate carrier. It comes with a bunch of the mag pouches and little loops for the shotgun shells on the shoulders and other stuff. Knowing yourself, I've got a shot knee, period, end of story, a halfway shot knee, a not so great shoulder, a borderline elbow, IBS, a little bit of TBI. Oh, wait. I was in the Army in the 90s, so the VA says I can't have TBI, so I'm just a dumbass. So, I'm not running and gunning. That was the 90s. Doesn't work out for me anymore. I'm probably going to lay in somewhere and ambush. So that means heavier gear, more ammo, whatever. In my theory, behind my plan. Like I said, and I'm going to say it 50 times in this video if I say it more than twice, yourself. Know yourself. Know your apocalypse. I'm not running and gunning. I need a bunch of bullets and water and everything. I'm going to be probably stuck in one spot. Hopefully I'll be buttoned up, and hopefully it is a zombie apocalypse and it's not knuckleheads with guns. Knuckleheads with guns, it's a lot more shady. But with that in mind, I also went with steel plates. AR-500 steel plates. They're a lot heavier than their ceramics. Hopefully, theoretically, if there is a stray shot or two involved, because ricochets, even if not knuckleheads with guns, hopefully you don't have as much issue. To be 100% honest, I really thought, you know, any kind of coverage or plate was kind of over the top just for farting around and shooting. And then one day I'm out here with my fine AR-500 steel targets, and I wish I was kidding. Good 20 meters off, maybe a little bit close according to the manufacturer, but I'm a lousy handgunner, and 20 meters, that's it for me for handguns. 9mm round hits the steel plate that was already swinging. Some bitch hit me right in the sternum. So, didn't penetrate, it was hot, it hurt, it left a little bruise, but guess what? Iowa plates. You do not want to get too crazy over the top, something that you're not going to be comfortable practicing in. As much as I make fun of the Force Recon Fred gear that I'm wearing, you're going to need to practice in it. You're going to need to train in it. You're going to need to understand it, be a bit comfortable with it. If you can't be comfortable training with it, in it, for use of it, and practicing repetitively, then go ahead and just knock it off your effing list and figure out some other way around. Know yourself. If you know you're going to feel weird and self-conscious about it, if you know you don't have a place where you can be where you're not going to feel weird and self-conscious about it, don't waste the money on it. You've got to practice, you've got to train, or whatever you do is pointless. You can't put rounds down range because you didn't leave the money in your budget for rounds. Make a change somewhere. Be realistic about your goals, be realistic about your acquisitions, and acquire for the long term. You know, we've all been through the COVID now and the toilet paper shortages and everything else, and we can all make fun of it. But the reality of the issue is the shit tickets got hard to find. Who'd have thought? I know, right? Bullets, they got hard to find. Whatever it is you think may happen is not going to happen on your schedule. The only thing that's going to happen on your schedule is your ability to train and prepare for whatever the frick it is you think is going to happen. So, Be flexible about your timeline, be realistic about your budget, and always leave enough money in the budget to always continue training as you move forward with it. Even if it's not your full rig, part of your rig, train with it. Train your reloads. I mean, I tend to go through, I have my magazines set up a certain way so that I can reach them with my left hand, reload a certain way, and return to my AR stance. Or with my secondary and return to a shooting stance. I put one round in the freaking magazine and I practice reloading from the pouches to the firearm, drop it in the dump pouch, whatever I need to do. I practice each of these stages, not necessarily always in the plate, not necessarily always into the dump pouch or with everything else. Part of my personal preparation is not just the zombie apocalypse. Knuckleheads break into my freaking home. I want to be able to get in my rig fast or pick up a ballistic shield or whatever it is I'm going to do. I want to be able to have the appropriate ammo for my personal plan for home defense, which is, for me, shotgun, Cellular and Bellow 12 pellet double-aught buck. Merry Christmas. Have a nice day. That's going to suck. So I prepare for my given, plus the other things that would be covered by my given theoretical apocalypse. So I've got a lot of extra crap on here, but it's because this is multi-purpose. I have a 3 magazine pouch that I again picked up off Amazon, and it actually has different ammunition in it, and that is for different primary firearm. That's for longer range. This is 300 blackout. Magazine's clearly marked subsonic for this setup. No suppressor currently because, well, ATF background checks, tax stamps. That, for some reason, you know what? I'm not even going to go there. It's in process. Prepared for it. Feel like I'm going to need it. I'll have it eventually. Baby steps. Get used to getting in and out of positions, in and out of vehicles, on and off of whatever, in whatever rig it is you have. I went with a, we're just going to remove the AR. I went with a lower drop pistol rig because of the way I choose to go to my secondary. I like it down low enough that it takes a little shoulder drop to reach it, and then it's a little shoulder drop coming back up. A little more body motion so it's not everything arm when I come up. Again, trained for me. So, each thing that you do with your rig and each thing that you do with yourself requires that time to put into it to practice. And if you don't have a lot of time to put into something in practice, I don't recommend putting a hell of a lot of money into it. It's going to be a hobby. It's going to be a minor hobby. It's going to sit in the back of your closet. You're not going to fiddle with it. If you're making 50 grand a year, don't drop 20 on crap that's going to sit in the back of your closet and not do anything. So, you're probably going to want hearing protection and some form of communications rig. It's relatively basic Walker gear, runs on a civilian band radio. I can talk to friends. Don't start. Do not start. Even I have friends. Not many, but a couple. It also, that particular Walker set has a background amplifier, so you can, when it's not drowning out firearms noise, you can actually hear a little better, which is nice because I was a combat engineer in the Army. Explosives, heavy weapons, heavy vehicles, lots of noise. My hearing ain't that great. That amplification can help you. Whether you're hunting, you're at a public range and some knuckle dragger a little ways down is screaming to see if everybody's clear because he wants to go replace a target or whatever. Know yourself. Okay. Know your apocalypse. See, I said it anyway because I was afraid some of you might not remember yet because I haven't said it 50 times yet. So, ammunition, potential backup set for a different primary weapon if you're going longer range for something else. Plenty of ammunition or a minor amount of ammunition if you're going to run and gun, or you can have ammo drops all over the place. Whatever works. The key is, I just said it a couple minutes ago, so I'm not going to go into it again. So be familiar with your rig. Be aware of how you need to train to utilize your rig. So we go down for practice. Timer. I have a way to hold it on my gear so that I can practice with my gear. Not really an apocalypse accessory, training accessory. Train for it. The military trains ad nauseum until everything is instinctive and muscle memory, because that's what it takes. You have to get to a point with your training where it's muscle memory. It's automatic, just you don't think about it, you're done. Because whether it's home defense, whether it's the COVIDs hunting for toilet paper during COVID 2 or whatever the hell goes down in the universe, your brain cognitive functions need to be on awareness. Yes, it's going to take some amount of your awareness no matter what to reload. But if you've put 10 or 20,000 rounds down range, 1,000 of them one round at a time, reloading a specific system, your reloads are going to be a lot more instinctive, and you're going to have a lot more processing power in the old brain to be aware of your surroundings and what's going on. And that doesn't just mean hostile issues. Let's go back to today. You can't just have a home invader and then shoot everything that comes through the effing door afterwards. It doesn't work out like that. You may be in a situation where you've called 911 and the cops get there real friggin' quick. You don't need to be in the middle of a reload and then pointing a loaded firearm at the police officers when they enter your property, because that is not going to work out for you well. So the more any of your actions are muscle memory and the less of them are cognitive brain functioning bandwidth, the better off you're going to be in the long term. It's about training, it's about repetition, it's about knowing yourself, knowing your apocalypse. So we move down. Cell phone is not a reasonable accessory for the zombie apocalypse. However, I talked a little bit about hearing protection. So you'll want to train not just under ideal circumstances, but with distraction. Take some time to do your training in loud environments where it's not necessarily just the range and you're not necessarily putting rounds down range. Music in the background, loud random noises. I have a 3M set of earmuffs that are Bluetooth enabled. By being Bluetooth enabled, that means I can put an app on my phone, a music player, run it really loud, run it really soft, running weird distracting noises. Music I don't like, country and western. Sorry, if you like it, you like it. I don't. I'd rather listen to Beethoven than... We're not going to get into it. The buzzer function on my timer also runs through Bluetooth, so I can use the 3M headphones that'll still muffle, but instead of having a public range where my headphones are dealing with a bunch of random outdoor noises and blotting them out, I can more effectively hear my Bluetooth enabled shot timer buzzer because it's Bluetooth enabled and will run through the 3M headphones. So I run a couple different headphones for a couple different things. I wouldn't really use the 3Ms if something came down the pipe, but they work well for training because they give me an opportunity to put myself in less than ideal circumstances, or in ideal circumstances it still enables me to better hear my shot timer. So sidearm, holster, where it's comfortable. Like I said, medical issues, a brace. I have one for the other leg when I have bad days with a filming session. I'm not running with both braces today. And I don't always train with both braces. I don't always necessarily train with a brace at all, because once again, you need to be able to perform under less than ideal circumstances. Me, the possibility of my knee giving out. So I train without the knee brace, so if something goes down hard and I don't have the extra 15 freaking minutes to get the brace on, the pants arranged, the sleeve, blah, 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 I am still trained to perform primarily instinctively in a bad situation where I did not have time to get my brace my plate carrier and all that happy crap on. Under the preparation side, I do not have it here because I'm filming and I don't need something in front of my face. They have ballistic shields out. They exist, and they're not crazy expensive. Mine ran me about 600 bucks. If your apocalypse is someone breaking into your home and coming to get you or your stuff or your loved ones, no matter how much you train with a plate carrier, grabbing it from wherever it is, lifting it over your head, slapping it on, sliding the 2 slides in place, settling your gear in, getting your firearm, takes way more time than rolling out of bed, grabbing a handle, pulling open a drawer, grabbing a firearm. It took less time to even say it than it takes to do it. So you need to be, again, aware of what the possibilities are within your apocalypse. So I'm set up for several different possibilities, and I train several different ways. I'd recommend doing the same. Now, even once I get below the belt and into the relative super basics of my gear, I'm running with what they call carpenter's pants. Now with the brace on, I can't do it. However, on the carpenter's pants, you have little pouches. Without the brace, this SIG P320 M17 fits in the little carpenter's pants leg pouchy. That one magazine will fit in the little pouchy. It's right next to it. And a knife in its sheath, several other items will go right on the little hammer clip. So even when I break it down to the most basic, just day-to-day clothing, it's more along the lines of something that if the crap hits the fan, it has opportunities, potential, whatever you want to call it. Again, I train without the brace. I train drawing with either hand from the little pouchy, because if I theoretically might end up doing it, I have to train it. So that's really a majority of what I have to say about this. Hopefully going through my rig and my setup and my thought processes has given you some idea of what is going to help you make the decisions and make the preparations necessary for whatever it is you feel that you want to prepare for. You need to not only train, but you need to maintain your physical fitness at the level that you can. It's just your health. I mean, boil it all the way down. If there's no apocalypse that you're dealing with, your acquisitions will move on to the next generation if you have a next generation. I mean, maybe you're a dink, maybe you're not. I'm not making any judgments. You need to feel comfortable with whatever you acquire being safe in your home from whoever is there, and if anything happens to you, with it moving on to whoever it is that's going to inherit it or legally acquire it from you. It's just one more step of that preparation. You need to think not only about the immediate, but the far, but the what about after you. If you have no significant other, no extended family, or you're just an asshole and don't have anybody you give a shit about, prepare appropriately. Who gives a shit? Shoot 50 Beowulf through walls. It doesn't matter. But what matters is that training, preparation, reasonable and realistic parameters within your budget of not only time, but money, and I guess, you know, I keep calling it cosplay. Call it what you want. Call it dress up, call it Halloween. If you're not comfortable with it, in it, wearing it, being seen in it, at a range, at home, if the mailman comes, whatever, don't bother with it. Having it in the closet is not going to do you a damn bit of good. You need to be realistic in all these stages of what you've got going on, or whatever it is you're preparing for, however it is you think you've prepared. If it's not realistic, it's not really going to do you too much good. So think about all these things, review a ton of other people's videos, research a ton of different gear. Don't take any one individual's opinion as 100% what you're going to go with. I hate to say it, even if it's mine. I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's always right. The key behind the realistic expectation and realization that every living being is a unique entity is understanding that no other living being can give you the proper advice for you. They're unique, you're unique, circumstances are unique, gear is unique. Hell, stuff that comes off the friggin' assembly line is still slightly unique because we don't even have the technology to produce equipment that's 100% the same every single time it comes off an assembly line. Realize that. Realize that what you're doing is not what anybody else is doing, or what you're preparing for is not exactly what anyone else is preparing for. So keep that in mind. Think, make lists, spend effectively, time and money wise. I want to thank you for going through this long video with me. I hope you liked it. I hope if you liked it, you'll click like. And hopefully, more than 28 people will eventually be subscribed to this channel. I'll do some more videos, give you some more of my stupid opinions, my dumb thought processes, and how I feel about specific gear. I'm going to go through, do specific vids on some of my gear, do some specific training stuff, and then just do some plain fun adrenaline crap. So keep tuning in. If you made it through the COVID comeback, great, stick with me. If you didn't, you're new, hey, great, stick with me. Like and subscribe, do your research. Most of all, be safe, keep your family and yourself safe, and try and enjoy whatever it is that you do before your apocalypse happens. Thanks a lot. This is Scott with Adrenaline Fueled Firearms. Have a great day.